Hello everybody, welcome to the weekly bump. Thank you guys so much for being here. So as always, we have 3 piles in front of us. Pile 1 is using a black Tourmaline, pile 2 a red Jasper, pile 3 a Howlite. Kind of went with the red, black, and white colors today, kind of packing a punch for this Scorpio full moon. I hope you guys are doing super well. For those of you guys who are new here, the whole point of this is just to pick a pile, right? Some people feel intuitively drawn. Some people like to pause the video and, feel their way through it, but not everyone feels a connection, and that's okay. So you can always just randomly select a pile. More than likely, there will be a little something in the message for you that you can take with you for the week, provide a little bit of insight into something going on. So timestamps for each pile will be in the description box and the comment thread down below for easy access. And we'll see you guys in just a sec. All right. All right, pile number 1. You guys selected the black Tourmaline. So let's go ahead and see what comes through for you guys here, starting with an astrology card. Scorpio, I transform. Okay, well, it's moon connected. Definitely moon connected. And it's, I think it's a feeling that has been going on and is going to continue to go on, that you are in this process of becoming. You're in this process of blossoming, of evolving and changing. And, I don't know that you necessarily feel done with things, and then you don't necessarily feel totally open with new things either. There's still a growth process at play. And this is a week maybe where you'll feel the waning of the moon actually quite substantially as we make our way toward the new moon in Taurus, where you'll feel like you need a little bit of time to just kind of breathe out and to let things settle for a minute, to let yourself settle. Maybe you need to be like, okay, I need to pull the reins in just a little bit. Not trying to hold yourself back by any stretch of the imagination, but more so just let's just let the adjustment happen, because maybe there have been some changes. Maybe there has been a lot of magical things going on, and you're like, okay, well, let's see how it pans out. And if you need a little bit of time to let this transformation really take hold, then of course, obviously, take as much time as you need. We are making our way into a Pluto retrograde as well tomorrow. So Pluto is kind of, slowing down and stopped and ready to start going backwards. And, we're still kind of getting prepared for this Mercury retrograde. He's not technically in shadow yet, but he's coming into Gemini this week on the 3rd of May. Venus comes into Gemini on the 8th. So there's going to be transition and movement and new ideas and all that kind of stuff coming up for you. So if you need to take these next couple of weeks to just sort of chill, that's cool. Okay, so let's see. We've got the Queen of Cups, 10 of Swords, Ace of Coins, 9 of Wands, 10 of Cups, and Temperance. These cards are a little too big. Temperance. Okay. So, for some reason, I don't know why I'm being drawn to this 10 of Swords here. That's the point of finality, right? The transformation, that sort of, it's crashed and burned, it's done, it's over. And it is time to really open yourself up to something new. The Queen of Cups is a beautiful energy to get, because there's, especially with the water element in the very center here as well, because there's this component of following your heart. And with Mars in Cancer now, I think that's all we really can do. All we really can do is head into this, and I love the kind of black color here, indicating this, very deep feminine, surrendered, kind of going back into the womb of the universe kind of energy, back to creation, back to where it all kind of begins for us. And when we're thinking about our life, we're thinking about our path, we're thinking about our futures and our careers and our families and our love lives, and we're thinking about all of these things, there's kind of a coming home with the Queen of Cups. We come home to ourselves. We come home to what is, real and pure and authentic, and we sort of shed our skins of all the things that the world has really projected onto us. And sometimes it can feel a little bit like a crisis, or it can feel a little bit stressful, or we can feel confused, even a little beat up. He's got like some scarring and stitches on his face here. Definitely looks like he's been roughed up a little bit, but that's kind of the essence of what happens when we stray a little bit too far from our inner voice. And right now, this Scorpio energy is saying that the transformation that's really occurring is that you're now returning home to the inner voice. So externally, things can do what they do, and that's not really the essence of what Scorpio is about. It's about the internal change. And when the inside changes, the external must change as per the laws of the universe, right? With the as above, so below kind of mantra there. And I think you'll start seeing things sort of coming in with the Ace of Coins. There's going to be some breadcrumbs for you saying, okay, yes, you are coming back home. You are really listening. You are really paying attention to what your body is telling you, to what your gut is telling you, to what your spirit is telling you. And because of that, the universe will continue to give you affirmations or validation, right? Whether it's through synchronicities or through opportunities or through other means, to validate and confirm that, like, yes, you are really listening. Yes, you are really on track. Yes, yes, yes. And this is somehow weirdly kind of really lining up quite perfectly for you, as I see with this 10 of Cups. Because the 10 of Cups is always like an emotional achievement, right? It's an emotional victory or success, if you will, bringing you closer to that state of satisfaction, bringing you closer to that state of fulfillment in general. A place where maybe you were fighting so hard in the external world to get, and now that it's really sinking in that all of this happens inside, everything happens inside, that now this seems suddenly readily available to you. And with that comes temperance, which is that feeling of absolute and perfect balance and even zen, if you will. And I like how there's kind of like that, the eye in the pyramid, which I know is like all Illuminati style or whatever, but there's still something very beautiful and symbolic in terms of its connection with our pineal, in terms with our our connection with God and our third eye and our insight and all of that. So there does seem to be an illumination there of an understanding of how it really works. And the transformation, I keep looking at these two, the 10 of Swords and the 9 of Wands, because it does indicate to me like you've been through a lot, right? You've been through a lot to get to this point. And this journey has been full. And we have these psychological and emotional and maybe physical battle scars. But because of that, we also have the wisdom too. And that's what I see when I look at the Queen of Cups with the Temperance card on either end, that there's this coming into that wisdom. And that's what this transformation is really all about, which is really quite lovely. So we have a coming together. Oh, and we have a blossom. I love blossom with the transformation energy. I always say that life is like the infinite blossoming rose, right? That reminder that there are always new layers coming in and coming in and coming in and coming in, and old layers always falling off. And to me, there is something kind of blossoming inside of you. It's going to actually enhance a lot of your relationships. Now, it could be your romantic relationships, yes, absolutely, but it could also be with your children, with your parents, with your coworkers, with your friends, with whomever. There will be a coming together, and there will be a opportunity for communication, an opportunity to even just connect energetically. And with this coming together in Temperance, I do feel just a lot of peace. Peace after 9 of Wands, 10 of Swords type of stuff is definitely a welcome energy. You're growing. right? You're growing quickly and admirably. Things that used to be important most definitely are not that important anymore. Things that used to feed you probably no longer cannot, because your joy is found in deeper realms. And I think there's even a little bit of a falling away from the world a little bit here too. Falling away from the world in that you're detaching from the material while still being able to enjoy the material. Okay, I'm not saying you're going to go and throw everything you got away, but you're detaching from the material, which means meaning from life comes from a more substantial place. Oh, well, there you go. New birth. Guarded vigilantly. New birth, transform, blossom. All three of these cards coming out saying, oh, yeah, you're definitely shedding your skin. Have you ever seen like a scorpion or like a tarantula shed its skin? Maybe I've mentioned this to you guys before. It is not pretty. It's really creepy. It's like way creepier than a snake, right? But I think that's what it is. Like, it is not a pretty process. It is not easy. And it is something, though, that I like guarded vigilantly. I love those words because that's what it is. You have to guard your whole process. Now, I just want to point out that we got a 2, a 20, which is a 2, a 20, which is a 2, and then we also got a 4 and a 2, which is a 6, which is deep moon and Venus energies. So there's extraordinary deep feminine here. You have to surrender here. You have to let yourself go through this process. Those who fight it, those who fight the internal change, those who try to keep the past alive, they're going to get really roughed up. They're going to continue to be roughed up. Life is going to continue to like pummel them a little bit until, it really sinks in that this change needs to happen. And it kind of needs to happen kind of like now, right? You need to allow the blossoming to happen now. Because if you start stifling this blossoming or this rebirth, you're only hurting yourself. And the lessons that come down the line are going to be kind of harsh. Just a little word of warning for you. It's going to be kind of harsh. And why wouldn't you enjoy this 10 of Cups now when it's literally in the cards for you? Why wouldn't you enjoy this temperance, this illumination, this wisdom now? Stand still. And abundance. Beautiful. Stand still. There is a stillness within transformation. That's what I was saying, is kind of like that, the waning of the moon now more than anything, to breathe out, to let the transformation occur, almost as though you're watching yourself, right? You're watching yourself sort of come home. I feel that you guys are getting a hang of what it means to be the awareness. You're getting a hang of what it means to be the observer or the witness. Witnessing yourself going through this process is a really magical thing. And I think that's an achievement in and of itself. And of course, abundance coming on right on top of the 10 of Cups is that suggestion that you're headed in the right direction. And a lot of people want to classify what abundance means. It wants, because they want to see it with their eyes. They want to see it with evidence. But I think anyone who's really tapped into what abundance is knows that this is more of a state of being than anything else. It's a state of faith and it's a state of trust. And if we don't trust, then we are not abundant. Because there will always be fear creating that resistance. Trust right now, I think, is your only option. If I'm being honest, it's really your only option. You can't go back. I mean, once a scorpion starts to shed its skin, like, that's it. That's it. Can't put it back on. What's it going to do, right? It's a dead layer. It's a dead layer. You can't put it back on. So, the camel boy, small steps asking for help. And then we also have the rainbow prince, compensation and perseverance. Well, perseverance, I think we know, is just kind of that quality of one step in front of the other, small steps, okay? If you need help, ask for it, whether it's spiritual, advice or financial, right? We have the Ace of Coins. If you need a little bit of help, if you need a little bit of a leg up, if you will. If you're having a hard time with, I know that we as humans, we always try to assign meaning to stuff. We always want to know what it means. We always want to know when something happens or how this is going to do or what steps we can take. What actions can I do today? We always want that control. We want that understanding. But I think right now, if you can let go of that strong desire to understand, you'll be in a really, really, really fantastic place to invite some beautiful things into your life as we make our way closer and closer to 2022. That this release is a very, very important part of your overall journey, of the macro cycle in which you're in. And it cannot be rushed. It should not be rushed. Kundalini rising. 22. A lot of twos for you guys. Especially directly in the center. Kundalini rising. Ignite your passion for life. And I love the fire going up his spine. And I love the fireball here. And I even kind of like the balls of light here. There's a component of you holding something very valuable. You're holding fire. Holding fire within your heart, within your soul, which is ultimately going to manifest itself somehow in the world. And that this passion that you have, this sort of rising or swelling that's occurring, at some point is going to start to take off. At some point it's going to take hold, and you are going to need to be able to keep up spiritually, emotionally, and psychologically, which is why this whole release is so important for you now, because something is building, something is coming, and I think you know it, which is why it's important to stand still now to let this transformation, take its form, to let this new skin shed forward or come forward. Okay, powerful stuff for you guys. Pile number 1. I'm going to leave you guys with that. Thank you so much. I love you. I hope you have an amazing week, and I'll talk to you guys very soon. Take care. Alrighty, pile number 2. You guys selected the red Jasper. So let's go ahead and see what comes out for you guys. Starting with the trine, the grand trine, blessings, beautiful. Now we know a trine is a really positive aspect in astrology. There's an easy flow, really harmonious between 3 or more planets. And I feel that there's an ease of which things are about to work out. Like things are just going to work out. There's an ease to it. And I love the red Jasper has always been one of my favorites. It's very, very grounded, very grounding. And I feel that there's not only an ease, but also a steady pace. And whatever's coming for you, whatever your future holds, doesn't really require a lot of effort from you right now. Doesn't require a huge amount of attention, doesn't require a huge investment. It's just going to flow. And right now, your natural talents seem to be at the forefront of what you're doing, which is fantastic. That's what we want. We want our natural talents to really shine. We want our natural gifts to really shine. And yeah, that's it. Let's go get into tarot. I don't know. There's not a lot to say about that one. We got the World, Ace of Wands, Eight of Wands, Two of Cups, King of Wands, and the Devil. Okay. Well, things are turning. The world, things are turning over, right? That kind of last card in the tarot. There's transition, there's evolution. Again, slow. We got two Saturn energies. We got the World and we got the Devil. Two Saturn energies on either end of this. But with the trine in the very center, there's this component still of the flow. So just because Saturn comes out and is involved and might stretch things out a little bit, doesn't mean that it's not going to work out. Doesn't mean it's not going to do well. And we have an Ace of Wands here, which of course is kind of something that just comes in. Again, the grand trine, it just sort of comes in. Now, will it come in this week? I don't know. Maybe for some of you, yes. For others of you, maybe not. But I also don't know that there's a lot of, again, like I say, effort that's needing to be put in here. Because the Ace of Wands has already been, requested. You've already done the magic for that. You've already cast the spell, if you will. And now it's just a matter of when it shows up. And I know a lot of people are going to want to control this and be like, well, when is it going to come? Like, it's going to be different for everybody. It's going to be different based on your state of mind. It's going to be different on whether or not there's resistance with this grand trine, because here's still the Devil still. It comes out and says, there are still some lessons to be learned about all of these blessings. Saturn retrograde, right? There's still a little bit of learning to do about how much resistance you have. Now, some of you, it won't be a problem. Others of you, you'll have a blessing. You'll have something come in. It will come in easy and you won't trust it. You won't believe it. You won't allow it because it didn't require effort, really, because it didn't require so much time and blood, sweat, and tears to get it. But here we have the Eight of Wands. It's like, no, like this is lined up because you lined it up. This is all part of the new way of being. This is a part of your abundance and this prosperity that you've been asking for. Like, this is a part of it. This is a part of this new world for you. The world, right? The world's turning over. You're entering into that portal between the end of the old and the beginning of the new, in that transition, and the universe spirit is providing an easier path for you. A path of least resistance, which is probably what your soul has been manifesting for years, but your devil, whether it's your ego or your pain or your trauma or all the stuff from your past, right, was really, really there, making it difficult. And I even see some of you, having some kind of high quality conversation. I don't even know, this King of Wands, I mean, it could be you, but for some reason I'm feeling like you're like the World card. I don't know why, like this World, this Ace of Wands over here, like this is you. This seems to be someone else like in your life. Someone powerful, someone meaningful, could be a significant other or a spouse, or it could be a friend or someone that you really respect, a mentor, something like that. And I feel that this would be a fantastic week to have deep and meaningful conversations with this King of Wands, whoever this person is, because this Two of Cups is that sort of connection. Now, it might not be romantic at all. It could be, business strategy, financial strategy, all that kind of stuff. But there could be something that really comes to light for you here that could really result in some kind of a breakthrough in terms of this sort of bondage. I almost feel, oh my gosh, this is so cheesy. I can't even believe I'm about to say this. This is like the worst thing I've ever said. But I almost feel like that King of Wands is like one of those Disney princes who like comes and saves the day. Oh my God, that's the worst thing ever. But I almost kind of feel like that. Who slays the dragon and comes and, right, Sleeping Beauty, like comes and gives her a kiss and wakes up the princess, like kind of a save the day kind of energy, almost like a hero. but it's through advice that you get to implement yourself. It's through an idea or through a brainstorming session or through some kind of contact or communication that, just went to a different place than it normally does. And while they're not his blessings to enjoy, right? The Ace of Wands, it's not his to enjoy, it's yours. But still, there's a role, there's a reason why this King of Wands is present in your consciousness, present in your life in this moment in time. And it's a reason why, this conversation is needing to happen. I do feel like this Two of Cups is actually quite a breakthrough, also with the Eight of Wands, that there's kind of a rush, like you lift the floodgates and all of a sudden things just kind of make sense. Things kind of start to flush out. And there's like this rush of healing, and all of a sudden this devil doesn't really have any power anymore. All of a sudden this devil just looks like a goat. That's what I'm hearing. All of a sudden the devil just looks like a goat. And that's all it is. It's just a goat. A goat that you thought was all big and scary, and it's just not. Okay, we have the solar plexus chakra. Oh, and then healing begins. Okay, yeah, with the Two of Cups. So there does seem to be something very healing about whatever this Two of Cups, King of Wands situation is. It's here to help you in some way, shape, or form with your next endeavor. With your Ace of Wands, it's here to help you with your passion, with your new venture, with your great ideas. But here we also have the solar plexus, which is really about your confidence and your self-esteem and feeling worthy. And I know, like I said in the beginning, sometimes things come a little too easy and we start to distrust it. We start to not understand it. We start to feel cautious or weary of it because it's not coming in the normal way that things normally come. It's not happening in the way that things normally happen. In about a month, we do have Jupiter coming into Pisces, right? Doing a retrograde in Pisces. And we're going to be having, that kind of withdrawal. But for right now, we're still got Jupiter going direct. And when Jupiter comes into Pisces, it's going to be a powerful transition of hope and optimism and belief in oneself and belief in trust in all the things and all the systems and in the Christ consciousness and all of that. And I think that's going to be a really useful energy for not only your healing, but for your progress as well. Not allowing it to be more simple, that allowing it to be a path of least resistance, allowing some kind of flow into your life. Release the dark wound, let love in. Right? The dark wound, the devil for sure. There's that thorn in your paw, but like I say, it's just a goat. It's like when you're a kid and you wake up in the middle of the night and there's like this weird shadow on your wall and it's like all scary, but it turns out it's just like your nightlight projecting a shadow of like your teddy bear kind of thing. It's like that. And you're like, oh, it's just my teddy bear. Okay. Let love in. See, I think the King of Wands has a lot to do with that. There's something about the King of Wands lifting your blockage in whatever area. Okay? Lifting your blockage. See miracles. Miracles. It's so funny how we don't trust things. It's so strange how we don't. Like, we can sit here and we can preach it all day long, but when it actually happens to us, we're like, wait, what? So that's why the faith, this is what the new chapter for you is really all about. 2021 is about releasing a lot of the doubts. It's about releasing the doubts that you have against spirit or against the universe. And I use that word kind of harshly, like against, like it's so like brash, but like how many times in your past have you gone against spirit? how has that worked out? So now that you're on the same team, now that you're in the same place and you want the same things, that is when you start seeing the miracles. That's what the Ace of Wands is. Seemingly a miracle. That's what the Eight of Wands is. Seemingly a miracle. Seemingly everything lines up, And I think there's a confirmation, or there's like a restoration of faith here. And that's what 2021 is really going to be for you. An opportunity, a time frame of faith restoration. And then we have community. See community right on top of the King of Wands. It's about your people, the people around you that care about you, that love you, that really want to see the best for you, that want to lift you up. No one wants to see you here. Nobody wants to see you here. No one wants to see you in a state of struggle. They don't want to see you financially struggle. They don't want to see you romantically struggle. Everyone wants you to have the love and the resources and the growth and the passion that you want for yourself too. And that's the whole point of this Two of Cups, King of Wands thing, is they want it for you too. They don't want it for themselves, because I think on some level the King of Wands already has it for himself. And he's kind of showing you the path here of what to do with your wand now that you have your wand. Great, you have a wand. Now what? Well, let me help you. Let me show you. This is how to cultivate your wand. This is how to take action with your wand. This is how to motivate yourself with your wand. And this is how to grow. So your community is going to be important. It is going to be a part of your healing, of letting people help you, letting people advise you. The Lady of the Mirror, reflection, non-judgment. Well, that's an important card. Because now all of a sudden, you might be becoming the very thing that you used to judge. You used to judge things. And now, when you're on the other side, you start to see how silly you were for judging that. How silly you were for projecting your wounds onto that very thing. Projecting your wounds onto success, projecting your wounds onto money, projecting your wounds onto love, onto happiness, onto all those things. And you realize how detrimental that may have been, but also part of your journey, a necessary part of the journey, but that's not a part of your journey anymore. Because now you're really looking in the mirror this time. You're really seeing it for what it is. And when you really see it and you really start to understand it, that's when you really start to let things in. The Arrow Master, hitting the mark, intention, detachment. I know you have your goals. I know you have your intention. This was birthed from intention. This world energy, this turning over, is birthed from intention. There was strong creation behind what's happening here that may have been in the works for a very long time. And now it's a time to really enjoy it. You already hit the mark. Now you get to enjoy the victory here. Galactic healer, move forward with an open mind. Interesting, open mind and non-judgmental. Non-judgment, Lady of the Mirror. Especially means to not judge your past self too harshly either. To not judge your lack of awareness or your lack of consciousness from anything other from this point, like before this point. You are perfectly where you're supposed to be. You had to go through what you had to go through in order to get here. So for that, you can be grateful. For that, you can tap into that abundant frequency, because the more faithful and trustful you are, the more abundant you are. And I'm starting to realize that, we always talk about gratitude and appreciation, which are super important components of that. But equally as important are faith and trust. For abundance, you have to have gratitude and appreciation and faith and trust. You have to have all of these things. These are the ingredients of what abundance and prosperity really look like. Okay? All right. I'm going to leave you guys here. Beautiful reading. Excellent reading for a Scorpio full moon tonight. You guys know I love you. I wish you nothing but the best. I hope you have an amazing week. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. All right, pile number 3. You guys selected the Howlite. Beautiful. Let's see what comes through for you. Okay, Chiron healing. Healing is such a weird thing, isn't it? Like how our whole life like weirdly becomes about healing. Like there's so much to heal. Like where did all this come from? Geez, like so much. From our ancestors, from our parents, from our society. I mean, like, wow, like we really, really, really have so much healing to do on this planet, don't we? And internally and within ourselves and within our own lives. And, you know, there's so many patterns to break. And it's a lot of work, you know, it really, really is. But ultimately, I feel that there's some kind of karmic destiny here, that you kind of are in this exact moment, in this exact place, perfectly for the sake of becoming whole, to create a wholeness in the future, to create a wholeness on this planet, and to create a wholeness for this gigantic soul group. We're all here together, you know? And I know you've been doing it. I know you've been, you know, doing your part and going deep and asking yourself the hard questions. And you've been growing and evolving quite quickly. And I also think the Chiron energy, for those of you who are healers out there, I feel that there's kind of an enhancement in your power a little bit. There's an enhancement in your energy field. You're becoming a more powerful healer because you are becoming more healed as well. So there's kind of this nice sort of reciprocity going on there. Ooh, we get the Empress to start with. Beautiful. 5 of coins. Queen of coins. 2 of swords. 7 of swords. And 9 of cups. Okay. I feel like one of the things that you see when you look out in the world that might be a reflection of what you see when you look at yourself. It's just maybe a lot of people, maybe you, don't really see or appreciate that inherent value within yourself. And that's what a healing is really geared toward right now, is seeing yourself as something truly important and truly special and truly unique in this world. And that there's sort of a, you know, what's interesting is I'm looking at these 2 women in these cards and they look like the same person. And here she has, her hand is cut, she's bleeding. She's not looking up here at her castle, which is full of gold, right? But here she's looking at her gold. There's like that 2 sides of you. There's like that part of you that really, really wants to believe and to see this bounty and abundance in this world. But then there's this part of you that looks out and is like, there is so much pain too. And it's like both. And yet this Empress energy sort of rising up in you and saying, well, it's time to create a new world. And it has to start with your own life. It has to start with your own choices and creating that wholeness and fulfillment and satisfaction in your every single day life. Right? That famous quote, be the change you wish to see in the world. Because I know that you feel a lot of the pain in the world because you've endured a lot. You've gone through a lot of experiences. Good and bad, all of it, right? You've gone through all of it. You've gone through the highs and the lows. And even if you're a really positive person, you have, a really great perspective of like, oh yeah, that was a really hard chapter of my life, but I'm so grateful and I'm so happy that it happened. And, if it wasn't for that, then I wouldn't be here. Like, even if you have that kind of perspective, it doesn't mean that those experiences didn't still impact you. And I feel that this heightened sensitivity, especially with this Scorpio full moon, this heightened sensitivity of the needed healing of those around you can be a lot to bear. Especially if you have like a significant other or a spouse or a child who needs a lot of healing too. And I think in your nature, Empress, Queen of Coins, there's a part of you that really, really, really wants to take care of everybody and everything. And wants to keep giving and wants to keep giving and wants to keep giving. And wants to keep being there and wants to keep, keep being a source of light. Of course, you guys picked the white one, right? So we're talking about like this crown and upper echelon chakras here. This is high level stuff. And I think one thing that kind of pains you is when people don't try. And I feel that there's a part of you too at one point that thought it was not worth it, right? That trying to heal and trying to bring abundance into your life and that's a lot of this stuff. There was a part of you that saw the BS in a lot of that. But now that you are healing and now that you are growing, you start to realize there's a lot of truth in those things. There's a lot of truth in the love and light. A lot of people give a lot of crap to the love and light movement, but also once you get to that point, you're like, yeah, but that's actually really important. Love and light is really important. It's a big part of this equation here. We can't just sit here and bad talk it as people who are spiritual bypassing or whatever, because that might not really be the case. You're starting to really see the light of the light of the light. But because of that light and because of that brightness, the contrast is even that much more. And you see a lot of people with their self-sabotage and they're carrying their wounds, they're carrying their fears, trying to reach this 9 of Cups, which is, state of joy and wishes coming true. And yet somehow they keep continually getting denied access to this hall of bounty. And maybe on some level, there was a part of you that believed you weren't worthy of this either. You see yourself being reflected back in their pain a lot. I think you're bearing a burden that's a lot heavier than just your own at this point in time. You're feeling a heaviness that doesn't necessarily belong to you, although part of it does because you see yourself in it. I feel that you're making this connection between, like we always say, we're all one. We're all united. We are all one consciousness, one soul. We're all connected here. And I think you're starting to truly, truly understand what that means in an inherent and intrinsic level. Which is why your healing powers, not only for yourself, but for others as well, is becoming so enhanced and so powerful. Because you're coming into that wisdom, you're coming into that consciousness. And you see so many walking around not in that consciousness. You may feel a bit isolated, which is why I love this Queen of Coins. She's one of my favorites in this deck. Of just how she's very focused on, the world that is close to her, the world that is within her grasp, because otherwise, if she were to veer out too far, if she were to, go to the big scale, it would be so much. So focusing on the mundane things, like your job and taking care of your kids and all that kind of stuff is the best way for you to maximize your energy, for you to maximize your intention of this sort of maternal Empress energy. I'm almost like, I don't like feel like this is necessarily an embodiment of you so much as it is an embodiment of the divine feminine itself, of like Mother Gaia, and you being a reflection of Gaia, you being a reflection of the divine feminine as a whole, and feeling that caring in a very real way, and that empathy. You see so many trying to reach this hall with such a complete and utter misinterpretation of what this hall even is or represents. Believe and succeed, and to manifest. I feel like you guys have been manifesting a way to really be of help and service in this world. You've been asking Spirit for a path. Here you are at this very high level of consciousness. You can't live a quote-unquote normal life, you know? You can't live the way a lot of other people are living. You can't have the same kind of goals because they simply won't satisfy, because your spirit is too advanced. That the material goals of this world, while great, yes, you can have money goals and all this stuff. You can have all those things. But I think there's also a deep, deep, deep part of you that knows, the very Chiron part of you that knows that this is an infinite journey and that those things are temporary. And with or without those things, you know that you can still be happy. You know that you can still be fulfilled. And I think that you're asking for something much deeper than most people ask for, which is that contentment. That feeling that you have contributed and left a mark and made a difference in even one person's life. And it's coming from a place of love. Very real love with the Empress. The way a mother loves the child in the womb, right? The way a mother loves a child. There's something sacred about it. And, you are manifesting this path. You're manifesting something more aligned, more in tune. Belief is going to be important for you. To believe that this path will reveal itself. To believe that the changes that will happen in a way that is in your best interest, that won't, hurt or harm you in any kind of capacity, won't turn your whole life upside down, that kind of thing. Follow your own rhythm, like you have a choice. I honestly don't think you have a choice. I think that's your only option. Because when you're so aligned and so in tune, that's the only rhythm you can hear anyway. Because the world's tune, the world's frequency is so abrasive and so skewed, it feels uncomfortable. And the more and more discomfort you feel, the more and more you do start dancing to your own rhythm. And I feel kind of a bliss and a joy with that. There's something clicking for you. There's something snapping into place. Like I say, this more real and authentic version of self. We have release. And we have wonders. The release of the pain that you have. Also the release of the burden of other people's pain that you might still be carrying. The release is a necessary part of the healing and a necessary part for your next incarnation, for the other life, for the other dimensions, for the other frequencies. I know this is weird. I'm not like one of those, extraterrestrial channelers or anything. That's not really my gig. But I do feel that there are other versions of self in other realms that are experiencing this exact same release as well. That this is a multiverse release situation. Multiverse, multiple realities, multiple infinite universes, all kind of experiencing this release simultaneously, and opening yourself up to the wonders of this sort of galactic experience or this multiverse experience. That there's something so much bigger than just this particular perceived reality. Which is why I think it's kind of big, you know, and yes, it's a Scorpio moon and all that and whatever, but I think you can feel how big it is. You can feel how powerful it is. The Ice Queen, ideas preserved, non-action, entitlement. You know, more than the words below it, the Ice Queen is kind of like a very Virgo thing. I'm a Virgo, so like it's part of that Virgo archetype that has to do with like Demeter, and you know, Persephone, her daughter, was kidnapped by Hades, taken down to the underworld. She's going around all over. Have you seen her? Have you seen her? Have you seen her? And no one's helping her. So she gets really upset, right? And she freezes the earth. It's like, fine, if you guys aren't going to help me find my daughter, if you're not going to help me bring her back, then forget you guys. I'm not going to bring the harvest this year, right? So she kind of goes cold. I don't know why the Ice Queen has been kind of coming up as a theme for me a little bit. Because I feel that there is this potential, right? There's this potential for you going cold, right? Because you do see the pain, you feel the pain of others especially, and you see people not willing to help themselves, and you see people not willing to educate themselves and all of this. And it can be easy to turn your back and just rest carefully and peacefully in the knowledge, well, I know. But the generosity of the Empress and the Queen of Coins, it has to come out. Otherwise, it gets very selfish and it gets very harsh. And we don't need people going cold. Because when you go cold, then you lose your rhythm. You lose your belief and you stop manifesting and you stop experiencing the wonders of life. It's important to not go cold, no matter how frustrating it is. Okay? And then we have the Diamond Dreamer, material wealth and true prosperity. I like the word true prosperity better. You know, I know we can always dream of the material wealth, but when it comes on top of the 9 of Cups, not like a 9 of Coins, but a 9 of Cups, this is more the true prosperity. Something of which most people are grasping for. They grasp, and so they grasp out into the world. They grasp for the money, they grasp for the relationships, they grasp for the ideas of what they think they're supposed to have, which is determined by society in general. And then it kind of falls short of expectation, and then 10 years later, they're like all having their midlife crisis, right? And now you seem to be only interested in that true prosperity, which means a lot of the material goals seem to be falling away. And I think that's why you're coming closer and closer and closer, and that's why you're healing faster and faster and faster, is because you've opened yourself up to true prosperity. Ascended Masters, create open communication. Okay, I love the pink color in that as well. You guys know, like I just said, like I'm not the most, galactic type of reader or channeler. That's not my gig. I always say that's not my gig. But still, there are others, right? There are others. We have our guides. We have angels. We have frequencies and entities around us that are helpful. And I think right now is going to be an excellent time for you to open up those channels, open up that guidance, and create space for direction. Because I do feel that somehow you're waiting for direction, and that direction will come in its own time. You are manifesting it, but it also needs you to be ready. Because there seems to be like a calling of some sort at play here that hasn't necessarily been revealed. But it will be when the time is right. Okay? All right, big reading for the Scorpio moon. You guys know I love you. I wish you nothing but the best. Have an amazing week. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.